This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, 31 years ago, a famous cheat would try to ruin the reputation of the Boston Marathon. Her name is Rosie Ruiz. She was a Cuban-American fraudster who was supposed to be the winner of the 84th Boston Marathon in 1980 for the female category. But 8 days later, her title was stripped because she had not run the entire course. She is believed to have jumped onto the course half a mile before the finish. Ruiz was born in Havana and moved to Florida with her family in 1962. After emigrating to the United States, Ruiz would live with cousins in Hollywood, Florida. She would attend Wayne State College in Nebraska with a degree in music. She moved to New York City in the 1970s to try to find work, and she found work with metal traders, a commodities firm. In 1979, she actually qualified for the New York City Marathon and was credited with a time of 2:56:29, 11th place for women overall, enough for her to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Ruiz's application for the New York City Marathon actually arrived after the cutoff date for the race, but the New York Road Runners, a track group, gave her a special dispensation because she was dying of brain cancer. Obviously, that was fake. In the 1980 Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon officials investigated Ruiz's run and concluded she didn't run the entire course. She was retroactively disqualified for the race in the New York City Marathon. She would race on April 21st, 1980, 41 years ago, and appeared to win the female category with a time of 2:31:56, which would have given her the fastest time in history and third fastest female time ever recorded in a marathon. However, suspicions were mounted about Ruiz almost from the beginning. The men's winner, Bill Rogers, who won his third straight Boston Marathon, said that Ruiz couldn't recall many things like intervals and splits. Basically, she didn't know the terminology, and that basically made people question her thing. And people noticed that Ruiz was not panting or coated in sweat, and her thighs were less lean and muscular than would be expected for a world-class runner. She later released stress test results saying that her resting heart rate is 76. But most female marathoners would have a resting heart rate of 50 or below. In addition, her time of 2 hours 31 minutes 0.56 seconds. 2 hours 31 minutes 56 seconds was an unusual improvement, more than 25 minutes ahead of her time of the New York City Marathon. When asked by a reporter why she was not fatigued, she said, "I got up with a lot of energy this morning." And some female competitors thought it was odd that when asked about what she had noticed about the suburb of Wellesley when running through it, she didn't mention the students of Wellesley College, who cheered wildly for the first female runners as they passed the campus. And not many other runners could recall seeing her. Jackie Garneau of Canada was told that she was leading the race at the 18-mile mark, and Patty Lyons was told she was second at the 17-mile mark. Ruiz could not have passed either of them without being seen, and many spotters at checkpoints don't remember seeing her in the first group of women, and she didn't appear in any pictures or video footage, which is basically some kind of suspicion. Two Harvard students actually testified that they saw Ruiz burst out of a crowd of spectators on Commonwealth Avenue half a minute from the finish. Not long after that, a photographer said she remembered meeting Rosie on the subway during the New York City Marathon and accompanying her from the subway to the race. She lost with Ruiz after that, but came forward when the news of Ruiz's Boston win broke. She met Ruiz on the subway, and together they walked a distance to the finish area where Ruiz identified herself as an injured runner. She was escorted to a first aid station, and actually volunteers marked her down as having completed the marathon, thus qualifying her for Boston. New York Marathon, as I said, officials said that there was an investigation they can find Ruiz near the finish line. So they retroactively disqualified Ruiz from the 79 race. All that. Of course, the Boston Athletic Association disqualified Ruiz from the Boston Marathon. Even though New York's action was that they automatically disqualified Ruiz from that Boston as well. They needed to do their own investigation. Thankfully, though, they didn't mess up their investigation. And 8 days later, after being slighted, Jackie Garneau was given the female winner's prize, and Patty Lyons ended up being second place. Garneau said that she actually felt no ill feelings towards Rosie Ruiz. However, Rosie's problems wouldn't be behind her. In 1982, she was arrested for embezzling $60K from a real estate company where she worked. She spent a week in jail and was sentenced to 5 years probation. She went back to South Florida, but she was arrested for involvement in a cocaine deal and given 3 years probation. She ended up being a client rep for a medical laboratory company in West Palm Beach as late as 1983. She still maintained that she ran the 1980 Boston Marathon. An acquaintance actually said that she admitted to him a few months after the race that she had cheated, saying she jumped out of the crowd and she was shocked she came in first because the plan was to jump out at a certain time, but didn't know that she was first place in the women's marathon. Ruiz would die of cancer at the age of 66. There were some concerns about marathon course cutting, and believe me, this is not the biggest marathon cheat in history. Rosie Ruiz did, as Freddie Loris actually rode a car during the Olympic marathon in St. Louis in the 1904 race. And a Mexican presidential candidate actually ran the 2007 Berlin Marathon, but basically he skipped 2 checkpoints on the course, according to his timing chip and all that. There was a lot of people, all that. The New York Times ran an article on course cutting, including a map of where 46 runners of the New York City Marathon left and re-entered the course. Surprised that they basically escaped detection and all that. There were a lot of shortcuts. In fact, the winner of the Ironman Canada race in 2015, 40 to 44, was disqualified after evidence came to light that she hadn't run the entire race. The second, third, and fourth place racers couldn't recall seeing her, and basically the runner-up said, "When did you pass me?" and all that. The athletes conducted their own investigation after race officials rebuffed them, and they found evidence that the apparent runner could not have reached specific points at times. Basically, she was disqualified. All that. I forget who the woman was, what her name was, but anyway, yeah, dumb move and all that. But of course, everyone tries to cheat a marathon and all of that. I say if you cheat the marathon but you don't qualify for any other events, you're safe. You should be safe as houses. But Rosie Ruiz made the biggest mistake of her life. She came first. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adu.